Today, my dark babies, we're talking Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. If the thing that makes you happy is death. I don't really need to explain Disney, now do I? American icon of feel-good consumption, movies, musicals, merchandise, parks, and positivity propaganda. You're probably thinking, sure, the death of Bambi's mother is a primal childhood trauma. But you don't really need to make a 3-part series on death and Disney. Disneyland is, as you said, the happiest place on earth. Not everything has to be about death, Caitlin. I'm wishing for the sweet embrace of death. Hot take, Snow White is about necrophilia. You see, the man behind the mouse, dear Uncle Walt, wasn't all flying Dumbos and spinning teapots. His deep, long-standing fascination with death trickled down into many aspects of the park, more than most happy Disney-goers realize. So join us as we draw open the veil on how Walt Disney's fascination with death and mortality influenced his family-friendly empire. Sarah is coming over to join me. That's Sarah Chavez, my colleague at the Order of the Good Deaf, and a true die-hard Disney aficionado. People who grew up in Southern California are so serious about Disneyland. And she has talked me into Disney bounding.
If you don't know what Disney bounding is, it is basically where you are matching outfits with the character through colors, accessories, placement of colors, just anything like that.
She is Ariel, the Little Mermaid, and I'm supposed to be Ursula. I'm pretending to be grumpy about this aspect, but Ursula is not a Disney villain, she's a Disney queen. I got blue eyeshadow because I thought that was what Ursula had on her eyes, and it's true, but I tried it out and I just look like a sad 80s babysitter.
That's not an Ursula blue.
That's also not an Ursula blue. Yeah, it's like a depressed mall goth blue. But I did get 2 different purple lipsticks.
Okay.
This one is called Insta Queen #lip vibes, which makes me want to die, but Ursula was a bitter woman, so I relate.
They weren't kidding when they called me, well, a witch.
This one's more purple.
It is.
I also committed to these nails. And these are dip nails, so I'm gonna have them for like 3 weeks. So I'm gonna be in Ursula cosplay for 3 weeks.
I appreciate your commitment.
All. Oh, I have to do this like Ursula. On the whole,
I've been a saint.
Poopsies.
I think that'll do.
I'm ready.
To those poor unfortunate souls.
You have a plan for us today.
I don't have just a plan. I have so many plans.
You're
for us
way more
today.
excited about this than
Yes.
I am. You're like the Tigger to my Eeyore.
What's Disney, Caitlin?
Is Eeyore Disney? Is Pooh Disney?
Yeah, there's a ride. We can go on the ride. Winnie the Pooh. Now,
Before we get to the park, let's talk Walt. Walt Disney was born in Chicago in 1901 and showed an interest and talent for drawing at a young age. Before moving to Hollywood and opening up a studio there, Walt Disney worked at a Kansas City advertising agency. It was here that Walt forged a partnership with his right-hand man, the talented animator and designer Iwerks. The pair co-created the character of Mickey Mouse, who, by the way, was originally named Mortimer. Mort, the Latin root for death. Iwerks was also behind the Morbid cartoon classics The Skeleton Dance, Hell's Bells, and The Haunted House. Disney and Iwerks reveled in exploring death and death imagery, and continued to do so despite the skeleton dance being deemed too macabre by many, and even banned. Some Disney experts claim that Walt had an obsession with death that began as a 7-year-old child during a chance encounter with an owl on his family's farm in Missouri. Walt spotted a big brown owl on a low limb. I snuck up behind the owl, and I grabbed this owl. Well, he immediately began to claw and fight, and I threw him to the ground. In my excitement, I stomped on him, and I killed the owl. That thing haunted me for a long time afterward. As an adult, Walt made no secret to his wife Lillian that he wanted children, a lot of them. Walt had started construction on a new house with dreams of accommodating a large family. When Lillian finally became pregnant, Walt was overjoyed until she suffered a miscarriage. Although Walt told everyone he was fine, he wasn't. In a later interview, he said, "In 1931, I had a hell of a breakdown. I went all to pieces and I cracked up. It got to the point where I couldn't even talk on the telephone. I'd begin to cry." The couple suffered several more miscarriages until finally having a daughter, Diane, in 1933, and adopted another daughter, Sharon, in 1936. It was actually Diane who was the first to articulate her father's fixation on death and mortality. According to Diane, Walt attended a party in the early 30s where he had a reading with a fortune teller who told Walt he would die at age 35. According to Disney biographer Richard Schickel, the premonition plagued Walt, saying for the rest of his life, he avoided funerals and when forced to attend them, fell into long, brooding depressions. Walt was already extremely ambitious and driven, but this stark reminder of his mortality and the possibility that his lifetime was more limited than he had assumed only intensified his desire to create and make a name for himself. After the incredible success of Snow White, Disney and his brother Roy bought their parents Elias and Flora Disney a house in North Hollywood, a suburb of Los Angeles. One day, his parents complained about a strange smell that seemed to be coming from the furnace. When the housekeeper arrived, she discovered Elias and Flora unconscious on the floor. The housekeeper pulled both of their bodies outside onto the front lawn, but it was too late. Elias would survive, but Flora did not. She died from asphyxiation from carbon monoxide poisoning. Those close to Walt said he was devastated by his mother's death and blamed himself. Through the years, people have noted that just a few Disney characters are motherless. Just a few. Let's see. Snow White, Cinderella, Bambi, Belle, Mowgli, Pinocchio, Ariel, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Tarzan, Elsa, Anna, that fox, and Fox and the Hound, and those are just a few of the entry-level ones. Now, to be fair, it's been a common staple of children's stories for centuries to make the protagonist an orphan. But it can also be argued that the violent death of Walt's mother meant ixnay on the mommy say. But what about the park itself? Death can also be found all over the original Disneyland park in Anaheim, and no amount of magic pixie dust can cover that up.
That's right, deathlings. Welcome to the tragic kingdom.
We are childless women, and we're here to make the children cry.
Childless women should not be allowed in Disney parks. I'll tell you why. I was getting my son a Mickey pretzel, and some millennial in booty shorts came and took the final pretzel. My child was weeping and crying. I wanted to rip that pretzel out of her hand and throw it on the ground. Disneyland is for children and me.
So my parents used to be puppeteers and puppet builders, and they worked at a puppet theater in Los Angeles that used to create the windows of the different movies that are on Main Street. So they would work on scenes of like Snow White and 101 Dalmatians, and we used to come to the park a lot, and I used to get to come with them because they would check on the condition of the puppets, make sure any repairs that needed to be done got done, stuff like that.
Which is why Sarah knows so much about the park, and I went once with my dad when I was 27 years old.
Oh my god, a celebrity sighting. Disneyland today runs with almost creepy clockwork precision. But opening day in 1955, Disneyland was a disaster. About 15,000 people were invited to the opening, but over 28,000 showed up, thanks to counterfeit tickets and people using ladders to hop the fence. Temperatures reached about 100 degrees that July day, melting the asphalt on Main Street. There was a plumber's strike, so most of the drinking fountains didn't work, and what little food and drink there was for sale quickly sold out. Many of the rides either didn't work or broke down, the Mark Twain riverboat sank, and Sleeping Beauty's castle almost caught on fire from a gas leak. And if that wasn't bad enough, it was broadcast on live TV to a national audience.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
And all the characters were so creepy back then. So creepy. But in the end, the shenanigans of opening day, called Black Sunday, didn't matter. Within a few short weeks, over 1 million people would visit the park, and Disneyland has rarely been closed since. Join us next episode as us childless heathens storm the park gates and find death everywhere we look, plus Uncle Walt's cryogenically frozen head. If you like this video, as in physically click the like button, it's more likely to alert you when the next video's up because it's a dark algorithmic landscape we live in. Anyway. Welcome, foolish mortals. I am your host, Caitlin Doughty. The most widely believed Disney myth is about Walt's own death.
So this is all the remains of the best Disneyland attraction that never was.
This video was made with generous donations from death enthusiasts just like you.
Here we go. I don't really decide on whether I'm wearing these ears the whole time. I kind of like them. The happiest place on Earth. If the thing... Earth. Why is this... You know, because I have nails now and I can no longer... My nails mean I cannot work this anymore. Like a child. Oh, but it is death. There was a plumber's strike, so most of the... There was a plumber's strike, so most... There was a plumber's strike, so much of the drinking... So most of the What is that sentence? Is Winnie the Pooh Disney? I think so. Yeah, they probably bought it. They buy everything. Join us next episode as us childless heathens. But Ursula is not a Disney villain. She's a Disney queen. She's a Disney queen. She's a Disney queen. She's a Disney queen. She's a Disney queen.
If I am Ursula and I have this around my neck and she is Ariel, I realize it's like kind of kinky. Like it's kind of weird. It's almost like we have a weird S&M relationship.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's true. There's nothing wrong with that. No judgment.